Hello. So in the last class, what we did was we derived boundary layer equations for flow over a flat plate case, and that was also called Blasius boundary layer equations. So today we will see some technique to get the solution of Blasius equation. So let us continue with that. Okay, so Blasius equation is this f triple prime plus half of f into f double prime is equal to 0. Okay, where f is a function of parameter eta, and that defines the velocity profile inside the boundary layer. So this is a nonlinear ODE for which we had said that no analytical solution exists. So we'll be looking at how can we solve it numerically. So this is a third order nonlinear ODE, and this equation, this Blasius equation, is subjected to following boundary conditions: that f at eta is equal to 0, and both f prime at eta is equal to 0 are 0, and f prime as eta tends to infinity should be 1. These are coming from boundary conditions for flow over a flat plate. Okay, so we need to solve this. So one approach is, which Blasius used, is to assume a series solution for f. So we assume a series solution for f. So f eta we write as a0 plus a1 eta plus a2 by 2 factorial eta square plus a3 by 3 factorial eta cube, and so on. So this is a power series form of f eta that we are assuming. Okay, and then what we'll do is, assuming this profile, or assuming this expression, this power series expression for f eta, what we will do is we will put this assumption back into the this solution into this governing equation. If this f eta is a solution of this equation, this should be satisfied. So f eta will put here, and what we need to know is these coefficients. If we can find out these coefficients a0, a1, a2, a3, and so on, then we will know the expression for f eta, and then we can find out the velocity profile inside the boundary layer. And then this expression should also should satisfy boundary conditions if it is a solution. So first let us look at the boundary conditions. F at eta is equal to 0 should be 0. So f at eta 0 is a0, and f prime eta at 0, so we can find out f prime also. So we can differentiate it once. So this will be f prime eta. Okay, a0 will go away. It will be a1 plus a2 eta plus a3 upon 2 factorial eta square, like that. And we also need f double prime, so we can find out f double prime also like this. Okay, then we also need f triple prime in the governing equation. So f triple prime is this. Then start applying boundary conditions. So first boundary condition, f0 should be 0. That will give us a0 should be 0. At eta is equal to 0, if it needs to be 0, then the constant part needs to be 0. Similarly, f prime eta at eta is equal to 0 needs to be 0. So that will give a1 is equal to 0. So both a0 and a1 are 0 from boundary conditions. Okay, then look at the governing equation. Equation was f triple prime plus half f into f double prime is equal to 0. So if that equation should be valid for all eta. So this should be valid at eta is equal to 0 also. So at eta is equal to 0, f triple prime 0 will be equal to minus half f0 into f double prime 0. And I know at eta is equal to 0, f0 is 0. So this thing is 0. So using that information, using existing boundary condition, I can also find out that f triple prime at eta is equal to 0 should also be 0. Okay, that means a3 also needs to be 0. So from boundary condition we have seen that a0, a1 and a3 these will be eliminated, these are 0. Then what about rest? So for finding out the rest of the coefficients, what we'll do is we'll put this f prime, f triple prime into the governing equation. So we put this series back into the governing equation. So what we had was 2 into f triple prime. This half we have taken on this side. So 2 into f triple prime. A3 is 0. So only this thing. A4, A5, these things. F triple prime plus f into, this is f, A1 was 0, A0 and A1 was 0. So it will start from A2. This is f and then f double prime. Okay. This product, and then everything should be 0. So what we can do is we can combine the different terms. We can combine different terms to get different powers of eta. So we can look at, see, there will be no constant term here. Everywhere you will find that there is some power of eta. So first term will be power of simply eta, this one, 2a4 eta. Do you get any power of eta here? No. Here it is eta square. Okay, so only 2a4 eta. Then do we get eta square? Yes, from here 2a5 factorial to eta square. And then from here a2 into a2 upon factorial 2, that is a2 square upon factorial 2 eta square. Then for cube we have this. Here will not give any cube term. So like this we can collect all powers of eta with their coefficients on the left hand side, and then this total sum needs to be 0. Okay, so in the last equation we had a polynomial of eta, different powers of eta. A polynomial of eta should be equal to 0 for all eta. So that is only possible when the polynomial itself is just 0. A polynomial function of x cannot be 0 at all x. It can be 0 at all x only when all the coefficients of different powers of x are 0. So similarly, that last equation will be satisfied only when all the coefficients of different powers of eta are 0 individually. So from that we will see that a4 will turn out to be 0. That was the coefficient of eta. Then coefficient of eta square, that needs to be 0. So that will give us a5 in terms of a2. It's a relationship between a5 and a2. So I am just representing a5 as a function of a2. Then power of eta cube was this equal to 0, so that will give us a6 is equal to 0. Then power of eta 4 was this, the coefficient of power of eta 4. This needs to be 0. Now here a4 is already 0. Okay, so it will turn out a7 is also 0. Then this was the coefficient of eta raised to the power 5. Okay, a5 is already known in terms of a2, so I can put it here, and finally find out 8 in terms of a2. So a8 will come out to be 11 by 4 a2 cube. So similarly, whatever, how many terms you are interested in, you can find out all the terms, all the different coefficients in terms of a2. So eventually the form of f eta will simplify to this: a2 upon 2 factorial eta square minus a2 square upon 2 eta raised to the power 5 upon factorial 5, and so on. So all the coefficients other than a2 can be represented in terms of a2, and then finally we do the algebra, we will find out this. This is the function f eta. Okay, now in this only one coefficient is unknown, that is a2. If we can figure out a2, then this is just a polynomial which we can evaluate at any eta. So I write this f eta as like this. So this a2 raised to the power 1 by 3 I can take out, and then I can also write this polynomial as this. Okay, this is just some algebraic manipulation to make things easier. So if I take out a to the power 1 by 3, then I can write f eta as like f eta like this. F eta is a function of this coefficient a2 raised to the power 1 by 3 times another function, another polynomial of eta, a2 times a2 raised to the power half times eta. This is how I can write f eta. Okay, now all is required is finding this a2. This capital F form is already known from the previous slide. How do we find out a2? So notice that one boundary condition is left, that f prime eta when eta tends to infinity, that should be equal to 1. This boundary condition is left. So when we apply this boundary condition, we'll get the value of a2. Okay, so limit eta tends to 0, eta tends to infinity, this thing, limit of this thing as eta tends to infinity should be 1. Okay, so limit eta tends to infinity, this is just a constant, this can be taken out, and when you take derivative of this is a constant, you need to find out f prime eta. So this is f eta. So when you take a differentiation, this coefficient will come out and you will get f prime of this whole thing. So a in the front you will get a to the raised to the power 2 by 3, this thing. This should be equal to 1. So from there I can say that a2 will be simply 1 upon limit of this function as eta tends to infinity and then whole raised to the power 3 by 2. So this is the expression for a2. So till now everything is okay, everything is analytical, no problem. All comes here. How do you find this limit? Because you see that this is an infinite set in f, capital F. So we need to, here is the point, we need to switch to numerical solution. We cannot do any analytical or analysis or algebra any further. So to find a2 we will have to switch to some numerical method. So for example, what we can do is we can define iteration like this: a2 comma k, where k is the iteration number, is equal to this thing 1 upon limit of this thing a2 at k minus 1 eta, this. So what is it? So this iteration is what is saying is you start, this is a2 at previous iteration and this is new a2. So what we are saying here is you guess a value of a2, so that you call at iteration 0, your first guess, a2 comma 0, you guess a value of a2. Okay, then you evaluate this f prime for very large eta using that a2, and then you find new a2. Okay, so that is your new guess, and then using that new guess again back here, you keep on refining your guess. So that is the iteration that we need to do to find a2. So what we do is we start with some assumed value of a2 that we call a2 at iteration 0, and then using previous equation for a2 we find a new value of a2, that is a2 at iteration 1, a21. Okay, and then a21 again is used to find a22. So what we are doing is we are starting with initial guess of a2 using the equation or that limit equation to find a new guess for a2, and then using this new guess we are again finding a new gas. So we keep on doing this. Using previous gas, we find a new gas for A2, and we keep on doing this until we find that the value of A2 stops changing by a predefined small value. So the changes in A2 between two consecutive iterations will keep on becoming smaller and smaller. And then you define a predefined value. Okay, when two consecutive values stop changing by, let's say, 10 raised to the power minus 3 to the third digit after the decimal, then we will say that okay, we have arrived at a value of A2 which is acceptable. Okay, so that is how we are going to work. We need to work to find A2. So if you are interested, you can try. After implementing this iteration into a computer, what you will find is that the value of A2 will come out to be 0.33206, and notice that A2 is nothing but f double prime at eta is equal to 0. Okay, and once you know A2, then we know everything. Then f eta, small f eta will be known, the form of f eta, and small f eta will give us velocity profile. How? Because u by u infinity is simply f prime eta. So once f eta is known, I can find out f prime eta, and then I can find out what is the velocity profile. Okay, so velocity profile is plotted in this green plot. The x-axis is eta and y-axis is simply u by u infinity, u by u infinity. So what will happen is eta is equal to 0, u by u infinity is 0, because f prime eta is 0, and as you go away, as you increase y, because eta was y into something, so as you increase y, u velocity increases, and when eta becomes large enough, this u is equal to u infinity, so this ratio approaches 1. Okay, and then we had defined boundary layer thickness where u by u infinity is 0.99, where u becomes very close to u infinity. So you will see that at eta close to 5, you will see that u is approaching u infinity, u by u infinity is approaching 1. So after getting that A2, we can plot this, or we can tabulate value of u by u infinity, and then you will find that this u by u infinity will be close to 0.9 when eta is 4.9, somewhere here. Okay, so when eta is 4.9, u by u infinity is 0.99, that is, we have reached the boundary layer thickness the way we had defined. So eta is 4.9 and y should be equal to delta. So eta was y into this thing, but y should be equal to delta because we have reached the end of boundary layer. So delta times this thing should be equal to 4.9. Then I can find out delta. So delta will be equal to this. Okay, and then I can multiply and divide by x in this. So 1x square root of x will become x square root of x square. So 4.9x, and this will be nu upon u infinity into x. This is like Reynolds number, u infinity into some length divided by nu. So delta I can write as delta by x is equal to 4.9 divided by rex, where rex is u infinity x by nu. So this is the Reynolds number based on the x coordinate along the flat plate. So we see that this is the boundary layer thickness for flow over a flat plate. Finally, after getting the numerical solution, getting the value of A2, now we know what is the exact expression for boundary layer thickness. Okay, and what you see is from this, as you go along the plate, boundary layer thickness is going to increase. It is proportional to square root of x. Okay, and as RE is going to increase, boundary layer thickness is going to decrease. That we have already seen. So in the beginning we had seeing that delta yx was in the order of 1 over square root of Rex, that we had derived using some logic by saying that inside boundary layers inertia and viscous forces are of same order of magnitude, or looking from the Stokes first problem. So we had said that the order was in the 1 over square root of Rex, but now we have figured out exactly how they are related. So instead of order, now we have figured out that constant of proportionality. Okay, and once we know this, now we can calculate other quantities of interest. For example, the shear stress on the wall, tower wall. So on the plate surface, tower wall will be equal to mu del u by del y at y is equal to 0. This will give us wall shear stress, and then del u by del y I can write as u is simply u infinity into f prime eta, right? So del u by del y I can write as del u by del eta times del eta by del y, and del u by del eta will be simply this u infinity into f double prime, and then y is equal to 0 means eta is equal to 0. So this thing will give me this times del eta by del y, and del eta by del y is simply this u infinity by nu x. Okay, then what I do is again I try to keep Re here, so I multiply and divide by u infinity by nu. So this u infinity will come out, so I'll get mu into u infinity square upon nu, and then this. Okay, and then this is now 1 over Rex, and mu is simply, nu is simply mu by rho, so mu will cancel and there will be a rho. So tau x will come out to be this rho u infinity square upon square root of Rex f to power 0, which is equal to A2. Okay, so this is what we'll get. So finally we'll get the wall shear stress is equal to this 0.332 rho u infinity square upon Rex. Okay, what you see, as you move along the plate, wall shear stress is inversely proportional to square root of x. So as you go along, wall shear stress is going to decrease. Then we define a non-dimensional parameter called skin friction coefficient, which is defined as Cf is equal to tau wall upon half rho u infinity square. So you can verify that the dimension of Cf will be non-dimensional. So this you can say is like non-dimensional wall shear stress, skin friction coefficient. So tau wall we had seen already in the last slide. Cf will come out to be this. Okay, then we can also calculate the total drag on a particular length of the plate. So for example, till the length L, the total drag on the flat plate between 0 to L. So that will get by integrating wall shear stress. Wall shear stress we have available. So force is simply force times area. So shear stress. The force is stress times area. So the total drag will be simply, you consider a small area on the plate at a distance x of thickness dx. Its area is dx into 1, where 1 is the unit width in z direction. So wall shear stress times area, that is the drag force on a small element on the plate, and then you integrate that from 0 to L. So that will give me the complete drag force on the plate. Okay, the tau wall we can put here. Tau wall was this. Okay, and then in Rex, this thing can come out on the 1 upon square root x will be left inside the integration. This is simply twice of square root of x. When you put the limit, eventually we get the value of drag as this. Finally, we can write drag force as this. The total drag force on the plate till length L is given by this expression. Okay. Then similar to skin friction coefficient, we can define drag coefficient, which is simply the non-dimensional drag force on the plate till length L. CD is equal to total drag divided by half rho u infinity square into L. This is the definition of drag coefficient. This is valid for not just flow over a flat plate, for any kind of body. If the drag force on the body is D, then this is how the drag coefficient is defined. And if you know drag coefficient, then you can find out the total drag force on that body for a given fluid, flow speed and length. Okay, so this is drag. You can put drag here, so eventually you'll get drag coefficient for the flat plate is given by this. Okay, you can also find out drag coefficient by integrating skin friction coefficient between 0 to L divided by L. Okay, so you can verify this. I leave it up to you. Then we had defined displacement thickness and momentum thickness, so let us calculate that also. Displacement thickness delta star was integral of 1 minus u by u infinity from 0 to infinity. Okay, so delta star will be integral of 1 minus u by u infinity, and u by u infinity was f prime eta, and then dy is equal to this thing times d eta, right? Okay, and then this can be integrated, so this will come out of the integration, and then we need to integrate 1 minus f prime eta for eta between 0 to infinity, and f prime eta expression you know from series, so that can be done, that integration can be done, and eventually after integration you will find the expression for delta star. So all that complicated integration that we are skipping for now, that is left to the reader, but it is like you don't have to do this. It is up to the interest of the reader if they want to do. See, this also can be done numerically instead of doing analytically. Okay, so eventually this also we can write in terms of Rex. So delta star by x will come out to be 1.721 divided by square root of Rex. Okay, and then you can recall the definition of or the expression for boundary layer thickness also. So it will turn out that boundary layer thickness delta is approximately 2.85 times of delta star, the displacement thickness. So what you see is displacement thickness is smaller than boundary layer thickness. Okay, then we can also calculate momentum thickness. So for momentum thickness, either you can use the definition u by u infinity into 1 minus u by u infinity integrated from 0 to infinity, or you can use the physical meaning of momentum thickness. We had seen that the drag on the plate till length x is equal to rho u infinity square times momentum thickness at point x. This we had seen in the previous lecture. Okay, so from here we can find out what is the momentum thickness. How? Because drag already we have calculated. So momentum thickness will be simply d divided by rho u infinity square. So you use the expression for d, eventually you will find the momentum thickness theta by x is equal to this 0.664 divided by square root of Rex. And again we can compare it with the boundary layer thickness, and we will find that the boundary layer thickness is 7.38 times momentum thickness. So you will see that momentum thickness is also smaller than boundary layer thickness, but it is even smaller than displacement thickness. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what will be the relative thicknesses. The largest thing is boundary layer thickness. Smaller than that is the displacement thickness, and lastly we have momentum thickness. Okay, so that is all. So that is the complete solution for Blasius equation for flow over a flat plate. So with that we have found out the velocity profile in every relevant quantities. Okay, so this all algebra actually is quite a long time consuming, but in PPT we can finish it in very quickly. Okay, so that's all for today. We will continue with boundary layer theory in the next class.